Welcome back to the Kosi Arsenal channel. My name is Kosi. Welcome back to a brand new video. Arsenal have a massive opportunity this summer. We can sign Liam Delap for just £30 million. Ipswich have gone down, and according to Fabrizio Romano, it is now confirmed that the striker Liam Delap will just cost £30 million. That is his release clause. Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham are all interested in the services of the young Englishman who's just 22 and he has had such a devastating campaign at Ipswich. 12 goals, 2 assists as well. What a campaign for a player that has been playing for a relegated side in Ipswich. So should Arsenal look there? We are looking at the likes of Benjamin Sesko. Sesko has got really good numbers, but for Liam Delap to give you 12 goals and 2 assists in the Premier League, should Arsenal sign him instead of a £70 million, Benjamin Sesko, who has just scored about 20 goals in the German Bundesliga? Let me know in the comment box below. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about Liam Delap. So Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that after Ipswich going down in the summer, now that means that the release clause of Liam Delap is going to be just £30 million. And this is going to put a couple of clubs on high alert, especially clubs that are interested: Manchester United, Tottenham, Chelsea, and Arsenal. According to a few sources I've looked at, Manchester United have been most interested in Liam Delap, but now they're getting Matheus Cunha for about £55 million if a deal can be agreed between the two clubs. Now that leaves Tottenham, Chelsea, and Arsenal as the most interested clubs in Liam Delap. And I think the big question that Arsenal fans have got to ask right now is Liam Delap what Arsenal need at the moment, and how does he compare with the likes of Victor Gyökeres, and how does he compare with the likes of Benjamin Sesko? He is a market opportunity, no question about that. One of the highly rated strikers in English football, going for just £30 million. He's playing in the Premier League. He's had a fantastic season, but is he what Arsenal need at the moment? So the first thing I want to say here is that he's a huge prospect, and we have seen that. He was signed by Ipswich from Manchester City, and I think he's one of those players that he has just taken the Premier League by storm. I think that's what we can say. No one of us expected him to be this good. No one of us expected Ipswich to have a striker this good, but he's such a huge prospect on the striker market. I mean, when I look at him, he reminds me of Ollie Watkins when Arsenal were linked with Ollie Watkins back then at Brentford before moving to Aston Villa. He reminds me of Ivan Toney back then in the Championship before he moved to the Premier League with Brentford. That's the kind of striker I'm looking at. A striker that has got a big future, a prospect that is going to, if everything goes well, he's going to become a big striker one day. And when I look at him, by the way, I see Ollie Watkins. I don't know why. I look at him as one of the strikers that is going to move from Ipswich to a club like Brentford, to a club like Villa, to a club like Newcastle, and become a huge problem. So he's a huge prospect. But are Arsenal looking for a prospect right now? I really doubt so. I think the phase at which we are, in this rebuild, we are not looking for prospects. Prospects were wanted 3 years ago. And you remember Arsenal signed Lokonga, Arsenal signed Vieira, Arsenal signed Nuno Tavares, Arsenal signed Alexander Runarsson, we signed Aaron Ramsdale. That was the phase where Arsenal were looking at prospects. We're looking to bring in players that had huge potential, players that would be given 1 or 2 years or even 3 years. Even if they don't deliver in the first year or second year, they would actually be given more time. Right now, we don't have a lot of time. If Arsenal are in the semi-finals of the Champions League this year, that means that next year we ought to be in the semi-finals again, or even in the finals if everything goes well. So I kind of feel like he's a huge prospect, but I don't think Arsenal are looking for prospects right now. We are looking for the polished article. Now, again, if you go back to 2022, Arsenal were looking at Alexander Isak. He was a big talent, and we all knew that Isak had a higher ceiling than Dusan Vlahovic. I mean, Isak is so talented as a footballer. He's got a lot to offer, in his game, more than just a striker. He's just more than just a striker. And I think with Liam Delap, again, we're looking at a player who's got a high ceiling, very, very high ceiling. That's why I'm saying I can see him as an Ollie Watkins. I can see him as an Ivan Toney. I can see him as one of the strikers that goes down to the championship, stays there for 1 more year, scores about 30 goals, and then is signed up and picked up by a Crystal Palace, an Aston Villa, a Newcastle, or even a Tottenham Hotspur, and then it becomes a devastating mess for clubs in the Premier League. So he's got this high ceiling. And if I look at Arsenal right now and the talent that we have, I can see him fit there. I can see his ceiling almost at the same level as Ethan Murray. I can see his ceiling almost at the same level as Lewis Kelly. He's just 22. But like I said, unless these young players are coming from the academy, I don't think Arsenal are looking at how high your ceiling is in terms of bringing you right now. I think we're looking at impact. We're looking at can you bring instant impact? Can you cause about effectiveness in both penalty areas? That is why Arsenal are willing to splash about 50 million on Dean Houston, a centre back, in this stage of the rebuild. Otherwise, we would have said, let's go and get a 10, 20 million centre back, develop them because we have Saliba, because we have Gabriel. But Mikel Arteta understands that right now, you don't need the ceiling of the player, you don't need how promising they are. You need how impactful they can be at the moment. In terms of the top season, this is where I've got to ask you right in the comment box below. He's had 12 goals and 2 assists. If you compare that to the numbers of a player like Šeško, or to the numbers of a player like Matheus Cunha, players that Arsenal have been really interested in, or Arsenal are really interested in, does it cause about a bit of discussion in your mind, or does it change anything? I mean, he's had a top season, he's had a good season. Can he continue on that trajectory? You sign him in Arsenal, and then next season he gives you 16 goals or 17, and then the season after that, he gives you 28, right? So the question, the problem with that is you cannot guarantee that it's going to be on this upward trajectory, and development has never been linear. You can't predict that a player's development is going to be linear unless this player is just Bukayo Saka, and that's why I always say Saka is unimaginable. He's a freak of nature because his development has been almost linear. But when you look at players like Martin Odegaard, he came in, had an average season, second season, brilliant, scored 15 goals and assisted about 5 or 6. That is 20 goal contributions. This season, it has been a mediocre season. Next season, you might find Odegaard having a very good season. And that shows you that development in players and talent isn't linear. So if it's not linear, then that means that Arsenal cannot bank on this season in order to sign Liam Delap. We'll get into the discussion of Delap or Šeško, Delap or the likes of Matheus Cunha. But for now, one season for me isn't enough for Arsenal to go and do the deal. In terms of what Arsenal need right now, apart from the fact that he can't cause instant impact, he's a natural centre forward. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a player that can cause chaos in the penalty area of the opposition. We're looking for a player that can come in and give us a box presence. I think if you think about the top 10 clubs, we are the only club that doesn't have a player as good. I mean, if you think about Chelsea with Nicholas Jackson and Christopher Nkunku, if you think about Liverpool with Darwin Núñez, if you think about Man City with Erling Haaland, Newcastle with Alexander Isak, Watkins at Aston Villa, I think Arsenal are the only team that you really can't point to our box presence. Gabriel Jesus ain't that threat. Kai Havertz ain't that threat. He does go, but he ain't that threat as well. I think Delap could be that player. He's also a hybrid of the modern system and the traditional centre forward. We know that Andre Bata likes a traditional centre forward, and we know that Mikel Arteta wants a modern centre forward. So the easy point of consensus would be, can we get a hybrid of a striker? One that is like Ollie Watkins. I keep going back to Ollie Watkins because for me, Delap is like Watkins, and Arsenal are willing to splash about 40 million on a 29-year-old Ollie Watkins in January. And the reason for that is Watkins can be both traditional and it can also be both. It can also be modern as well. He's one of the strikers that can, drop deep, coordinate play, very good on the ball as well. But if you need him to just stretch the back line, if you need him to cause stress among defenders, he is your guy as well. And his finishing is absolutely devilish. So the key strength for Liam Delap right now, I think he's a good finisher. He's a very good link-up player, very, very good. And I would also say that at the moment, one of the key strengths that he's got a lot of time. It's just 22. Any club that signs him will have got real value for their money. Is he there yet? I don't think so. I don't think Liam Delap is there yet. I think we've got to give him about 3 years for us to clearly and truly say he's developed into that striker that Arsenal could have wanted. If you look at Alexander Isak in 2022, it has taken us 3 years for us to go, Alexander Isak is really a big problem. And that is not because we are blind. It's because players take time. Players take time to get into that level, where you actually want them. So for me, Delap is about 2 years or 3 years from there. And 3 years from now, maybe it's going to cost 80 million. Maybe it's going to cost 90 million. And people will say, look, Kosi, we could have signed him at 30 million in 2025. But I just don't feel right about now that he is there yet. Can he make the jump from Ipswich to Arsenal? I think that is psychological. The price tag is small. I mean, it's just 30 million. So I think for the price tag, he can actually come in and do a 30 million pound, striker things. He can come in, give you maybe 9 goals. He can come in and give you 11 goals in a season. And I actually think that Liam Delap would be a very fantastic forward as a backup. You know the way Mbeumo, Visa were kind of a backup to Ivan Toney. I think Arsenal need that kind of player that is willing to be there, push and push and push, and when opportunity arises, that player is willing to grab it with his own hands. I think that would be Liam Delap. He's a good prospect for Arsenal to bring in as a second striker. Imagine you're having Victor Gyökeres and he comes off and you're bringing on Liam Delap. Kind of different, kind of a similar profile in terms of striker, but the age difference would actually allow you to have, different offerings from different players. Of course, the question with, Delap, if Arsenal brought him as a second striker, is does Mikel Arteta really believe in him more than Kai Havertz? That's a big question. Do we have to get rid of Kai Havertz in order for us to sign a player like Delap? I kind of feel so. I kind of think so. Of course, Kai can be dropped and reintegrated into midfield, right? He can go back into midfield. But I kind of feel like Mikel has, now gotten accustomed to playing him as a centre forward. I don't see him play as a midfielder, again. Maybe the one thing we'll have to consider here is the price. He's a market opportunity. It's a serious market opportunity. And with the likes of Andre Bata at the helm now and Mikel Arteta as well, will they look at this and say, he is a good market opportunity, he can come in and do the job, let's go and get him. Now, his price takes us to the Benjamin Sesko and Cunha link. I mean, Sesko is a good striker, isn't he? But has he really done a lot to warrant 80 million? I just think that RB Leipzig was smart last summer. They held on to him and they made sure that this summer they will sell him for a higher price. I think they were going to lose him for about 50 million last summer. Now they could get 30 million more from his sale this summer. They were just being smart. I don't feel Sesko is an 80 million pound signing. And if only, honestly ask me, would I take Liam Delap over Sesko at 30 million? I would. I just don't believe in Sesko. I'm not convinced. I don't have the conviction about Benjamin Sesko. And I hope I'm right. And maybe you're a type. I just don't have it. I really don't have it. So how does Liam Delap compare with the players we have? Gabriel Jesus and Havertz. I think he's a bigger threat than Jesus and Havertz in the penalty area. He's got a big box presence that Jesus and Havertz don't have. But in terms of experience and in terms of the way Arsenal play, Jesus and Havertz are way better. In terms of the players we want, Gyökeres is a much better striker. He's a complete forward. Šeško, I can compare Šeško and Liam Delap. I think there are aspects where I'll take Delap and the aspects where I'll take Šeško. I think in terms of pace, I'll take Šeško in transitions and all that kind of stuff. In terms of being in the penalty area and being that fox in the box, I'll take Liam Delap. Comparison to Isak is a waste of your time. Isak is a much better striker than Liam Delap. But let me know, for £30 million, would you do this?